Hey, what's going on, guys? How you feel? My name is Gerard Fairley. Just had one of my clients leave. A new client, we got active investor for the trucking. Active meaning they involve actively in the decision making, but they're not actively driving the truck. Driving the truck is the owner operator. If you're an active investor, I mean you've put money in to buy a truck and you own the truck, and you have a person like myself, management team, run it for you. So you're an active investor. Active meaning you are actively involved in decisions and things of that nature. So here's the course structure. The course structure, and we recommend you have 39, at least $40,000 to start out with, so that you don't cut yourself too deeply. And if an emergency happens, you don't have money for breakdown, stuff like that. So the very first thing, of course, is the truck, right? The truck. If you don't have a CDL, you want to put down, about 20%, maybe 15, 20%, depending on your credit, maybe a little bit more. But let's say the truck is 65 to 90,000, somewhere in that range. You want to put down about 15,000, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Let's say 15 for right now, 15,000. Then you want to put aside at least 2,000 for your first truck note, your first truck payment, right? At least you want to have 1 month put aside. 2 is better, all right? For the sake of this example, we're going to use at least 1 month side. So the 15 for the truck, 2 for your truck payment. Now you're going to have a series of fees you're paying out before you get the truck and after you get the truck. Right? Before you get the truck, you got your LLC set up or INC, those types of paperwork costs, a few permits. After the truck is purchased, you have some other things you got to spend money on, registration, etc. So you're looking at, maybe $1,200, $1,500 on just filing fees and paperwork, right? UCR, BCO3. So put aside $1,500 for paperwork, just filing fees with different state and federal agencies. I won't go into the details. $1,500. Trailer. Now we do a lot of drop and hook, so you don't have to have a trailer. But if you're setting up the company yourself and you want to get a trailer, then figure on $3,000 to $6,000 down on a trailer if you're buying something used, right? Say $5,000 down. You can rent trailers, $1,300, $1,400, $1,700 a month to rent a trailer, a basic dry van trailer, or maybe a little bit more for a car hauler trailer, right? We're talking about basic dry van though. So what else? Insurance. Insurance is outside of your truck. Your next biggest hit will be your insurance. So you want to have, again, this depends on if you're setting up your own truck authority or if you're leasing onto a carrier, one of our carrier partners. You want to have at least $3,500 for insurance. Now, if you have your own truck authority, again, you're going to be covering your bobtail or your physical asset insurance as well as your cargo liability, which is built in together for your truck authority. If you're going to be leased on to someone else, if we go that route, then you just got to cover your bobtail insurance. Bobtail covers the actual tractor itself, not the loaded trailer, okay? Not the cargo, just the tractor. So you can pick it up from the dealership and park it up. You got to have bobtail just to move it. Just like you wouldn't buy a car without getting insurance on the car, because you drive out of the dealership, you get hit at the light, then what, right? So you got to have that bobtail insurance, minimum. So let's put aside $3,500 for insurance. You may a little bit more, you may need a little bit less, but $3,500 is a good number. So that covers your deposit and your first month, typically. $3,500, maybe $4,000 even, okay? It's always better to have more and not less. I'm giving you basic, bare minimum numbers here. You want to have a cushion built in. What else we got? Portion tags, right? Portion tags are going to cost you about $1,500 to $1,800, maybe even a little bit more, different states. Depending on what state is your home state where you're getting your plates out of, right? And they do vary a little bit. So you figure on, say, a basic $1,600 a month, $1,600 a year for your portion tax, which you got to renew every year. Okay. If you get them towards the end of the year, some states will give you, will allow you to get a prorated tax. So maybe you're spending less than that total $1,500 for the year. Like if you start your company at the end of the year and get plates for this 2 or 3 months, you get some proration there. So what else? Fuel. You got to have fuel money. You're going to figure you're going to spend about $1,500 to $1,900 a week in fuel, depending on how heavy the loads are, how much running you're doing. I know when I was driving, I was averaging about $1,500, $1,800 a week. And as one driver, if you're doing teams, if we run teams for you, or if you're doing teams, $2,200 to $2,500 a week in fuel. So you want to have that put aside. If you have your own authority, you will not be able to get fuel cards probably at the very beginning because you don't have proof of mileage or revenue yet to show the fuel card company. So they'll be hesitant to give you a fuel card. So fuel card just allows you to pay, at the end of a certain term, not upfront, So that helps you to manage your outflows, your cash outflow. Okay. What else? Phone and devices. I got $500 there for phone and devices. I recommend you get a separate phone just for trucking. I know when I was driving for a minute, and I'm on the phone with my wife, and brokers are calling me in, and dispatchers like, it's better to have the ability to separate that out. So if I had to do it again, if I went back on the road, I would get a separate phone, Boost Mobile, $50 a month, just for your trucking business. That just helps you out, keep things more organized. You need a tablet for your ELD. We use Samsara. Yeah, Keep Trucking is the phone app, but you want to have a device, a tablet, just for your ELD, electronic login device. Tablet, $150 for a tablet. I recommend you get a separate device for your GPS. I used a Garmin device that was like $400. It gives you all the highways that you should use or can use as a trucker, truck stops, and just things that the trucker would need to know to navigate safely on the road, so you don't get stuck in places where trucks are not allowed to drive, and then you get those tickets and those points and everything else. You don't want that. What else we got? We got about $500 for tools. Tools are like your vest, your little tool kit. And keep some a gallon of oil, a gallon of coolant in the truck. You got to have maybe get some boots. You want to get a basic tool kit. Can run maybe $100 or so. You want to have an air hose, apparatus, tire gauge. You want to be able to fill up your own tires off of your own air compressor if need be. You spend $500 in tools. You need your triangles, right? Your emergency triangle kit. Those types of things, right? So now we're at about $2,900 or so, give or take. And we haven't finished the costs. On top of that $2,900, right, we're gonna have to add another $2,000 for, did I say truck payment already? Truck note? Okay, I did say that. So I did say that. Okay, so then if we had about, so that puts us at about 30,000 if I add the truck note. If I didn't say truck note earlier, I won't remember. Put aside $2,000 for your truck note, okay? So now we're at about 31,000. Then you have some of the optional stuff. Optional means you don't have to have it, but you should have it. That's your inverter. Your inverter is what helps you to regulate electricity for your microwave and your refrigerator, which you probably are going to have for your driver if you want them to stay out there 2 or 3 weeks, if they're doing over the road. If you're not doing over the road, you don't have to have it. But let's say you're going to spend $800 to $1,000 for your fridge, microwave, and your inverter. If you're lucky, your truck came with an APU, but probably not. But an APU is another $2,000, maybe or so, $2,000 to $3,000, which helps you to cut your fuel costs. That's like your auxiliary your auxiliary generator, so that you don't have to idle the truck at night just to run your AC or your heat or your TV or whatever. Right? That's it's separate from the inverter. It's not an inverter. It's something separate. What else? And then, last but certainly probably one of the most important things is a escrow account for your preventative maintenance, your PMs, right? Preventative maintenance, and scheduled maintenance, and then your emergency breakdowns. Tire blowout, it's $350. If it happens on a Sunday, it's $650. If it happens a Sunday at 2 a.m., $750, $850. Truck is on a ditch, you get stuck. I got stuck in mud, had to call service just to get towed out of the mud, $650. So that brings us to about $35,000, $36,000. And then what I would do, on top of that is add an additional 10 to 15% just to have some extra money just in case. You need that just in case money, right? So, and that just in case money doesn't have to be cash. It could be a couple of credit cards or a line of credit from a bank, or even pops or mom says, hey, they'll back you if you have an emergency. So you got to have a credit card or cash to take care of those emergencies. So that's how we get to $37,000, $38,000 very quickly. And then when you have that emergency fund, now you're at 42, 43,000, 44,000, all right? So you round it up to 45,000. So that's in my opinion, and I'm just kind of giving you the basic numbers, the other little things in there. But we've very quickly got to $40,000 very quickly. And this is not including any kind of emergency that it could really hit you, possibly. Your turbos blow out, transmission or something, could be anything. And we have not figured into this equation, if a breakdown occurs and your truck is sidelined, it could be a small part that's inexpensive, a $400 sensor. If you're running electronic, and that's why I don't like to use automatic trucks. They have so many sensors and computer sensors and stuff. Is not very expensive, but sometimes they're hard to get. So you have a $300, $400 sensor in your electronic clutch or something like that, and you're sidelined for 2, 3, 4 weeks. The part is not expensive, but your truck note becomes due. Then what happens? You have to pay your driver. We didn't put the driver pay in there. You need to have at least 2 weeks of driver pay tucked away. So if your truck is sidelined, if you're running one truck, if your truck is sidelined, and then what do you do with the driver? You got to pay him or her, because if you don't, you lose them. So that's an extra $2,000 a week you got to have tucked away. So I would suggest you have at least 2 weeks of driver pay tucked away just in case of an emergency. If your truck breaks down and you have to keep your driver satisfied, because otherwise they'll jump ship. All right, so that's how we get to a $45,000, $50,000 number. And in my literature, my baseline minimum number to get into the trucking business is 40,000. 60 gives you a feeling of comfort, so you don't have to be concerned about emergencies because you had that covered. All right, so 40 is the low number. 60, close to 60 as you can, the better off you'll be. Let's make money.